Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. Looks like TJ Holmes is the one fighting for his job, as expected at ABC, and he and his mistress, Amy Robauch, reportedly are going to use his black card to try and save his job when they meet today with ABC News bosses and a mediator to figure out the illicit and disgusting extramarital conundrum they brought upon themselves while heaping embarrassment and misery upon their respective spouses, children, and family. We'll have details about what ABC is planning today. Also, America's Black Attorney General, Ben Crump, is filing a lawsuit against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis after the hateful governor banned an AP African American Studies course from schools in the state. But first, an idiotic and severely flawed in his thinking individual, and apparently one whose eyesight fails him often, Waymond Wesley has resigned as an ADA in the Harris County, Texas District Attorney's Office following his imbecilic rants about dark-skinned Black women. Let's discuss that with Perry Busby and Nakia Cooper. Nakia wrote about Mr. Wesley, a great look at the resignation. We think it's the forced resignation of Waymond Wesley II, Chef Way. Nakia, what happened down there in Harris County? When you come off mute, we'll understand better.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. You know, it brings me no joy to see anyone lose their job, right? But it does bring me joy to see that Black women use their voices and some movement was made. You know, we are at this point where we are not going to continue to eat the cake, and we are on a Rick James F your couch kind of movement to say we are not going to be polite while you constantly sit back and abuse verbally, physically, or anyway a Black woman. We have Chef Way, who's a TikTok star, who he got his glory from an oxtail pasta recipe, which I love to say that. And look at the tweets that he would put up about dark-skinned women.
And as I said at the top, this guy, what happened to his eyesight, Nakia? Because and some of the women, the dark-skinned women, just to be specific, we don't need the cream or the vanilla. Let's talk about the chocolate.
He had a problem with chocolate. He had a problem with chocolate.
The dark-skinned women he was posting, they're absolutely gorgeous.
Exactly.
And this dude was comparing them to trash and other things, saying that they messed up. He kind of cropped one out of one picture to her face anyway, saying she didn't belong in the picture. It's that picture right there. In fact, it's the darker skinned one he cropped out of that picture.
Look at that.
That guy is a lunatic.
Yes. And then this man, for anybody who really needs to understand, became a prosecutor in the Harris County District Attorney's Office. How? How does anyone expect us? And see, look at me. I'm a chocolate sister. Oh my gosh. What if I would have walked in there with a traffic ticket?
That traffic ticket would have become a felony under this guy.
Oh, yes. And so that's what women were saying. It was saying, like, you know what? We don't care if you don't like us. We don't care who you're with, because he's with his fiance, as noted, that he says proudly is an Asian woman. Hey, Blacks and Asians, Blacks and whites, we do this all the time. It's no problem with that. We don't care who you love. We care who you target. We care who you abuse. And that's what he was doing.
Yeah,
he was targeting Black women.
Yeah, it's one thing. Yep. It's one thing, Perry Busby, to, you have a preference, right? It's one thing to have a preference. But this guy was targeting. It was like if you didn't know who he was or didn't see his face, you would assume that this guy was some sort of racist, whatever. I couldn't wrap my head around who. Here's the question really becomes that age-old question: who hurt you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a public uh, display of self-hate, and as you say,
Yes.
to bring in the colorisms among all the other isms that we're dealing with. Again, in questions, I mean, right now, we're saying black women, but we don't know how far that color line goes in that, brother.
Well, he was very specific, Nakia, right? Dark skinned black
He
women
said dark-skinned black women and full-figured women.
and full
He
figure.
didn't like us. He said it.
So he wanted those real thin ones. Look, I'm gonna get in trouble because remember back in the day they used to say nobody wants a bone but a dog.
You know, I'm gonna leave that one right there, right? What was a bigger slap in the face for so many is that, as you see right there, the Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg, she at first came out for him and stood by him and said, "Oh, these tweets were made before he became a prosecutor, and anybody could."
He should never been a prosecutor.
Yeah, she said anybody can change, and she believed in him because back then he admitted to struggling with serious personal issues, including alcohol addiction. And so people came right back and said, well, you know, a drunk mouth, right? Speaks a drunk mind or whatever, speaks a sober mouth. He said what he said.
Look, when I drink, I become even more attracted to my woman too.
Right. Well,
there's no excuse.
He talking about, and being someone right. But also, I agree in second chances. But you have to show proof of being deserving of that second chance as well. And so, what has he shown to say that this is no longer
other than
Mr.
being
Wesley?
caught and saying I'm sorry? And I don't know, did he really say he's sorry, Nakia?
At that time, he really didn't. He said he gave in my opinion, he gave a half-baked excuse. He said it was alcoholism at that time, and he ended that tweet with saying, "Thanks for being along on my journey." Right? He said cooking. He said cooking saved me. So under his Chef Way account, and his other account was Waymo the God. That speaks volumes. He said cooking saved him, and he was doing those things. So that was when it first came out, right? And they were standing by his side. And then press conferences began to come out, right? You had leaders like, or community advocates like, or activists, excuse me, like Minister Quanell X, Candace Matthews. They were holding press conferences with a lot of people speaking out right outside the Harris County District Attorney's office. And then I remember Candace said the line, "Well, we'll see you at the polls," speaking about the district attorney, Kim Ogg. Now, and I'm not saying that this is what led to the change of heart, change of mind. Now, you know, the district attorney, she released a statement yesterday saying that when those tweets came out or when he joined, they knew absolutely nothing about it, which we get. And they didn't know, I guess you could say, the severity of them. I don't know, right? And now they don't stand by his side. See, that's the press conference. They don't stand by his side. And he resigned because he realized that even though he's changed, that his position is now a distraction to the office. And so he would like he's a distraction. So even though he believes that he would be fair to any Black woman and there's no problem, no threat, he was going to go. But this is the excuse that he gave. He said that he said, I don't have any deep-seated issues. He said that he did not have a hatred toward Black women. He said this was merely, but this is what his excuse is, and it's in the statement. He said he wrote a 4-page statement, put it that way, and put it on Twitter. And he said that it was a game, it was a trend to get more followers. The TikTok was to say outlandish comments about people. So then we want that as a prosecutor?
Listen, Nakia, here's the thing. Folks just don't know how to apologize. You know, when they start off by, you know, the classic, I'm not apologizing, but I'm apologizing is if I've offended anyone.
That's what he said.
If I have offended anyone. Baltimore Times said he sobered up and realized what he had said. Baltimore Times writes in, you would have been in trouble. And Power 96, are we doing this morning? Power 96. Uncle, he said, what? Uncle Ruckus' nephew in Houston finally resigned. He said, praise Black Jesus.
Praise Black Jesus. It was just too much hurt. And who do we trust? Don't you think it's just enough is enough? And here's the deal. Once he became a prosecutor, did he ever think, I better go back and clean up my social media feed? We teach millennials, we teach people coming out of college, when you are applying for a job, go back and clean up that social media feed. The fact that he left those comments there for them to be found, right?
Well, Nakia, let me ask you this question before we move on. I think this is an extremely important question. Has there been any discussions as to whether or not the DA will now look into any cases he may have had with Black women?
They have said nothing about it as of yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's Nick. Well, you've done some great reporting on this. Let me ask you. I mean, isn't that a must?
That is a must, and that's what people were crying for. Everyone in all the tweets kept adding, Kim Ogg, you need to review the cases. We want the cases reviewed. Has he fairly treated anybody? And they were just like, oh, he's always worked under. Oh, they did say that he worked under a supervisor, senior supervisor. He was immediately, placed on some. I don't know if you say some different desk duties, things of that nature, but look at the cases. We want answers, so this is two-pronged. Okay, we got it. He's gone. You stood by him and then you took that back. And now what about the women? Did he leave a trail? Did he leave a body count?
Yeah.
We want to know.
Well, Mike V says that is very interesting. He writes in that Bell Hooks wrote some very controversial things about Black men, especially the Central Park Five, despite their innocence, and no one asked her to step down. But Bell Hooks, we're talking about, it's an author, right? And this is a guy, in this guy's case, Wesley's case, a prosecutor. He's in a position in which he can truly hurt Black women. So it might be a difference, Mike. I'm not going to argue with you. I understand your point. But this guy was in a dangerous position. And it's unfortunate that, he did it all to himself. So, and it's unfortunate that, but like Nakia said at the top, we don't advocate anybody losing their jobs, but there are certain jobs that certain people shouldn't have. It's just that simple. His beliefs are his beliefs. He can, hide behind 4 pages of apologies or whatever that statement was pretend to be. But the fact is, he's in a position where he can really hurt the people that he hates, that he apparently hates, that he tweeted that he hated. So speaking of the courtroom, America's Black Attorney General, civil rights lawyer Ben Crump, has announced that he intends, Perry Busby, he's coming down. He's coming for your people, Perry. He's to sue Florida Governor DeSantis over the administration's decision to block a new advanced placement course on African American studies from being taught in high school. Crump is joined by 3 AP honors high school students who will be the lead plaintiffs in the lawsuit. Perry, what is the mood in Florida when it comes to this honors course, this AP studies course, I should say, and the whole idea? DeSantis has been front and center on this so-called critical race theory, and he has taken it to another level.
Well, Stacey, I think that what we see in this AP studies case is just the latest in and I wouldn't say it's slow moving, but a very deliberate gathering of steam of what Republicans have always told us with regard to Department of Education. One, they think that from a federal level, Republicans think that the Department of Education has no value.
Well, my goodness, they proved that during the Trump administration by look who they had as the Secretary of Education. Exactly. Barrington's words, this idiot. Yes. They had a complete idiot as the Secretary of Education under the Trump administration. You know her name. I'm not even going to say her name. Her name makes my stomach turn.
Yes, DeVos. Yeah. But I think what Attorney Crump is doing in this case, I applaud him, I applaud the students for engaging at least at some level as a response in this. There will be some further response. There was a press conference by Black pastors on Monday, or should I say on Tuesday, where the Reverend R.B. Holmes, who is a longtime Republican, but has since changed his party affiliation to independent, but Reverend Holmes gave the prayer at the governor's inauguration, at DeSantis' inauguration. So there are some long-standing relationships here that I think now Black Republicans are now having to ask some questions. I think Democrats have responded, but to be honest, I'm not sure where the outcome is going to be in here. I have heard that the department is looking to review this curriculum again, and they're looking for some modifications.
Harry, they can review all they want. The fact is that Florida is run under a dictatorship, and they continue to prove that time and again. DeSantis is a dictator down there, and anybody who goes against him, they get buried down in Florida. It's that simple, right? I mean, come on. We can sugarcoat this and talk about democracy, but democracy is it went out of the window January 6th, and it went out of the window with in Florida when DeSantis won re-election.
Well, yes, and as I said, you asked about the mood in Florida.
I didn't come here for all this. I'm not here for that.
Right, you and I talked about that, and so I can only imagine what those outside of Florida are seeing. Right. But yes, I think there is a lot of community and legwork that needs to be done here in Florida. As I said earlier, if Democrats are to have any say-so in Florida, it starts and ends with Broward County. And Governor DeSantis has repeatedly put his fingerprints in Broward politics by replacing elected officials. Some would argue for just cause, but nevertheless, the governor has configured the politics of Broward, and it is changing. We saw Miami-Dade, which was always a left-leaning county, go right. And so now I think Blacks in Florida have to ask some specific questions, as well as Democrats.
Well, David Youngblood said boycott Florida public schools. He writes in, and Power 96 writes in, Ron DeSantis should just come out and say segregation today, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever in his George Wallace voice. I like that. You may as well, right?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because we talk about these stories that seep out of Florida. In Manatee County, there was an old Confederate monument in front of the city hall. It was removed, and upon removal, that monument fell and broke apart. They took the pieces to a storage to decide what to do with it. And just recently, the new Republican majority city council or commission in Manatee County has now put up on their docket a vote to not only restore the monument, but put it right back where it was.
Well, Perry, let me tell you something. You won't be getting a new neighbor in Florida from me anytime in the near future. But look, let's talk about this travesty that is TJ Holmes and Amy Robauch. Today, they're meeting with ABC News and the top executive. They're bringing in their lawyers today. Expected to be a resolution finally in that situation. But here's the thing. Apparently, TJ Holmes is the one that's going to be fired and not Amy. They're looking to place her somewhere else at ABC, but to totally terminate TJ Holmes, according to multiple sources with knowledge of the information that's going down today at ABC headquarters or somewhere in ABC. They're meeting. I'm sure they're trying to meet in a location at ABC where other media won't get wind of it, but the cat's out of the bag. And so Amy and her lawyer said that they're going to stand by TJ and his lawyer, and they're going to make sure that ABC does not fire TJ because there's been no precedent. And they're saying, of course, that ABC, if he's fired, it would be because he's black. So they're using that preemptive strike as the quote unquote, I hate this term, the race card, and saying, look, but the bigger issue, Nakia, is we're not surprised, and neither should TJ Holmes. But come on, he's being taught a lesson of the past. Don't touch white women the multiple times, right? But Nakia, this is a situation that's unfolding. I mean, we don't otherwise care about it, but the fact is, TJ Holmes is gonna get, or is getting, apparently getting what we all thought he would.
Yeah, and I'm looking up because I'm choosing my words carefully. I'm choosing my words carefully. It's gonna be one of these great moments where Ice Cube and NWA, when they had that song and they came in, here's what they think about you, right? Mm-hmm. Here's what they think about you. And then they would say, oh, that's you, such and such, this, that, and that. All of those stereotypical thoughts that they have of us. TJ Holmes' problem is, number one, he's real reckless with what he's doing at work. Mm-hmm. That was number one, because this woman, white or not, was apparently not the first.
Right.
So he has a body count. We come back to that. That's what they can catch him on. That's number one. The things that they did to their spouses was an embarrassment to their families. That's an embarrassment.
It's horrible.
Right? So we do have two cheaters, and I know, a lot of people roll around in the hotbeds of work. We spend more time with our work family than we do our families at home, right? And so sometimes you get there. Neither of them you love who you love,
this ain't love.
You exactly. You can do what you want to do with whomever you want to do in the world of R. Kelly's bump and grind.
Oh.
But the fact of the matter is that, was it right? And is it a distraction? Right? So if he's a distraction, so is she. But she gets to stay because, first of all, they're going to just say she's just another woman caught up in his web, right? That's number one. What he's going to soon find out is that his princess here, when he's unemployed, we're going to see how long she sticks around. And I don't care how much they have saved up in the bank. There's nothing like an unemployed man. And she's gonna, and an unemployed black man, she's gonna find out with her unemployed black man, she's gonna start looking at him as bringing no value to her, and the allure of all of everything, I suspect, is gonna go out the window. Okay. And it is what it is.
Nakia, break it down.
Maybe I will get in trouble in so many ways, and that's why I'm just saying. What is going to happen, and he's going. Like they say, you're going to learn today. Do I think that they need to protect her and send him out? No, you both have to go because she's
making the point. She's making the point, apparently, through her lawyers. Again, they haven't spoken publicly, them two, TJ and Amy, but making the point that they are equals, that this is not a subordinate type of thing. He's above her, or she's that. So that obviously bringing that to the table, it goes along with her, you can't do this to him thing. So ABC, to me, you're leaving.
It's the distraction of work, right?
It is totally distracting. It's, look, they haven't been on the air since November, and you know what? Should they be on the air? I think ABC was put in a very, very tough situation.
Yeah.
But I believe if they do it to her, if they do it to him, they need to do it to her. Because I'm sure ABC knew that TJ was creeping. If the allegations are true, who's misbehaving at work.
Well, they initially, Perry, they said that ABC said, well, this is a consensual thing. It's not a big deal. We're just going to let things cool off and bring them back. Well, they have not brought them back. And certainly things have not cooled off. And that's really a lot to do with them, because it seems that what happened afterwards, they started going public with everything. And these are married people, regardless of, we don't know what's going on in their homes, right? But they're still married individuals, and they're around Manhattan and other places, taking these trips still, and pictures are being shown. Come on, you can't tell me that they don't know that they're being photographed.
Right. Well, and I hope I'm not taking a different turn on this, but this is the same replay. And again, TJ has given them ample material to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not used to this sex crazed black man, but we've not heard anything about Amy. And I dare say, if it were a black woman, we would hear about her sexual exploits, but we've not heard that. And so so how do we end up always doing these reboots of an old story? And so where does, to some degree, I think the public is sort of like, let's just be through with it. Make up your mind what you're going to do, and move on. But I truly don't think that people, if they put TJ on at 3:00 in the morning, whoever's up at 3 may pass up on him. But that's it. People are, we say people move on, but yet we keep an old story to destroy him.
Well, I think he's done a good job of that himself. The embarrassment itself, and her too. It's not just him. Her too. The embarrassment. We're talking about not just spouses involved. They have children. They have minor children.
Right.
Right. And this is my point about them carrying on so publicly, even after the story broke in November that they were having this affair, and they have doubled and tripled down. And as TJ Holmes' estranged wife's lawyer finally had to come out and say, you know what, he needs to stop. He's hurting people, by this public displays of affection with Amy. He's not even divorced. He hadn't even filed for divorce. He needs to stop. We can sit here because we're the black press, and we tend to lean and try and defend black people, but there's no defense of this guy. There's no defense of her either. She wants to be a skank, she could be a skank, but don't be so public about it. And he wants to be a dog and a skank himself. That's what he is. That's what ABC got. And look, that's the bottom line.
I'm in love. I am in love. Hey, we're gonna just call it out and just say it. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good. She, she's been married multiple times. He's been married multiple times. And you know what? It's good and well how this story ends anyway, right? How their relationship, they're not gonna last.
They're not gonna last.
It's like Perry's point. Yeah, Perry's right. People move on. This is not. It's not necessarily newsworthy. We're talking about it because it's something to talk about. But tomorrow's a new day, and ABC will probably make their decision today, and then by Monday, when the new news cycle hits, we'll be done with it.
Yeah.
But he certainly has abused his position. She's abused hers. Her past is as sordid as his. We're not giving Amy Robauch a pass here. And I knew Amy at once. We worked at MSNBC, but I didn't know her like that. But nonetheless,
let's clarify.
Yes.
We started with Chef Waymond.
Black women, okay? We're going back to the black women here. Don't get it twisted.
Right.
But anyway, we keep losing Auntie Nakia. She's got some power issues, but Perry, but you're right. This is something that at the end of the day, it doesn't really move the needle, and on the Richter scale.
Yeah.
But
also, in all honesty, I mean, Stacey, you're in journalism, and I asked this: do you think that perhaps ABC is jumping ahead because they saw social media breaking this news at a much faster speed than they could, and so now you have a major media source now fighting with social media? Because I dare say, if no one had shown those pictures on social media, ABC would not give a damn about TJ and Amy.
Look, wait a minute. Hold on, Perry, because it's bad enough I got to deal with Power 96. But my own producer, she was going all in on me. He shot a shot. I didn't shoot no shot with Amy. It'd be a different story if I did. Let me tell you something. Anyway, she says he was like, "It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none." I'm done. That's horrible, Greer. Nakia, I need to talk to you. This is not right. This is not right, Perry. She treated me wrong. But go ahead, Perry. I'm so sorry. She said,
No, I agree.
Hey, Siri, play some H-Town, somebody knocking your boots. Oh, my goodness. See, hey, my Siri's trying to play it, too. But look, the bottom line, you're right, Perry, what you're saying. ABC was painted into a corner because social media broke it, and they didn't know what to do. It's been evident that ABC didn't know what to do since November, because they all knew, and finally, because like you said, it became a social media thing, and folks started showing some things on. But ABC is complicit too, don't you think, Nakia? They just send these folks to get by themselves and red-eye flights here and there, naturally putting them up in the same hotel, not necessarily the same room, but they was kind of complicit, right?
I believe so, and I just think that, hey, like they say, water cooler gossip, and it's work knowledge, town knowledge, all of those things. If you knew, and that's what people are saying that they knew. Commenters were saying, "Oh, good, we were tired of watching them flirt." You saw those tweets. We were tired of watching them flirt for an hour with each other. So it's not until, like they said, they got so sloppy and arrogant with it.
Rumor has it that he was with one of the producers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then they said something about with one of the women that was like 24 years old, and of course, but hey, she's not a minor. Right. But the thing is that he had a body count, he had a reputation, apparently, and now everybody else knows your business. Like they said, like your grandmother said, now all your business in the house is out. Y'all, I'm sorry, I'm very Southern. Everybody can tell that, but this is how it's happening. So, so now you have to deal with it. To deal with it.
Wow.
And what's next? And it's very funny. You're gonna reassign her, right?
That seems like it's
and
the
he's
plan.
Out the door.
That seems like the plan. We're gonna find out. Apparently, we're gonna find out. Or at least they are making a decision today. All the legal people are meeting, and ABC seems like they believe or they feel like they have their ducks in a row. But when those lawyers sit down this afternoon, we'll see what happens.
We wish them the best.
We wish them the best.
Hey, you know what? You know how they say we ride together?
TJ Holmes gonna be working for the griot before it's all over with. He's gonna be calling Byron Allen. Look, Byron, look, the money is starting to run out here. Nobody wants to hire me. We black. All of a sudden, he's gonna claim his blackness, like OJ. OJ started claiming his blackness for a little while there, anyway.
But I'm gonna give the brother some credit. He did. His wife was a black woman. He did.
That makes it worse for black women, right?
Around.
Doesn't that make it a little worse? Because I think that's what a lot of black women had a problem with OJ leaving his black wife for Nicole, and then he wound up killing Nicole.
I think this one is a little bit different. I think that what they're saying with TJ is he was just spreading himself around. I think TJ was just being. I don't want to say this because I have two men here. I just think TJ was doing what what some men do, entitled men do, right?
Entitled.
It's not about her being black or white. For this, when it comes to his job and him going in her stead, that's one of those black and white issues. I don't think he necessarily went for her because she was white. Right. I think he went for her because she was weak
and available.
And I'm gonna say that I think she was weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and it's amazing. We've been on the West Side Gazette's 2-minute warning show. This month has been
that's every Tuesday night, y'all.
Human trafficking, right? Yeah. Tonight, it's tonight. We've been focusing on human trafficking awareness, and one of the things that we spoke about last week with author Pamela Samuels Young was that we talk about the offense, but we have yet to look at the demand on the other side of this supply.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so now when we look at this, and she said something very good. We are one of the America is sexually obsessed. Mm-hmm. If it's sex, it sells.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're from the South like me, then but as well, we are sexually repressed.
But the South?
And we don't like some sex getting out there, but it's there. And so we and now we have this issue with it being a part of our entertainment.
But go back. You said the South is sexually repressed?
Huh?
Did you say the South?
Yeah. Especially in the South.
Repressed?
Huh? Repressed. Yeah. We don't talk about some sex in the South.
Well, yeah, they do a whole lot of it, though, don't they? They don't talk about it, but they be about it.
Right, they be about it. That's what I'm saying. We don't like to talk about it, but it's there.
Shoot, I was going to say, black man, you ever been to Atlanta?
Exactly.
Oh my
God! So for every TJ Holmes, you got about 10 pookies on the block acting just like him.
Yeah, I just think any woman that if they knew his reputation and they fall for the Don Juan's Rico Suave kind of approach, that's why I say that's just a weak woman that's doing that. I'm not going to put my job on the line for you.
Right.
That we're not going there. But
right.
that's the issue. And the fact that they both had families and the fact that they're a distraction. I don't know what to say. There's a lot of people who, marry. There's news directors and anchors I know down here who, hey, some news directors. I remember one woman, she came as a package deal with her husband. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm coming to be your news director, but my husband is going to anchor this morning show. So, it's like we get that about workplace, romance, marriages. So, but that's something that happens. But it was just the nastiness of it all, with them both having families, and then it becoming, like, a public embarrassment for the station and for the other host.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, unfortunately, Auntie Nakia, we gotta leave it there. Okay. Y'all got to go. Y'all got to go there. Thanks, you guys. Perry Busby, West Side Gazette. Nakia Cooper wrote that great column. She's at the Bayou Beat Check her out and continue to check us out, regardless of what you think of today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.